Well, a very good afternoon to all of you, Self-Isolation Orchestra. This is our second course. If you didn't join us for Nimrod and this is your first time, welcome. And also, if you haven't heard the performance of Nimrod, which is still up on YouTube, then give it a listen because it sounds absolutely fantastic. It was so gratifying to kind of work on that course and then hear all of your recordings come in and then hear it all come together in the edit to sound as wonderful as it did. So well done to those of you who played in it, and for those of you who are new, we're going to achieve something equally good, if not even better, with this wonderful course on William Lloyd Webber, who is an underrated composer who I know Mark is absolutely nuts about, with good reason, and we've got four of his absolutely best pieces to play today. He was clearly a very gifted writer for string orchestra. He was actually an organist in his kind of as his first instrument, I suppose you would say, but clearly had a very good understanding of how of the temperament of strings and how to write beautiful music for strings. So hello to those of you who are already here and chatting. Hello Mark, hello Helen Canterbury, that's great. Hello Angela. It doesn't matter whether you're a beginner, as you say Angela, or whether you're a seasoned player or whatever. The great thing about this is that you can take it at the pace you want to. It's just an opportunity for you to learn, an opportunity for you to play and to get to know some music and just enjoy yourself, because we find this medium actually, you know, is an amazing way of connecting with other musicians at a time when it's pretty hard to do that, and we've not been able to do that for getting on for a year now. So feel free anytime just to pause me, rewind, watch back, etc., and you can do what you like. If those of you are in the choir and you're joining us, welcome to you. I'm sure most of you are well experienced at doing this, but if some of you haven't done this format before, you'll see there's a little chat on the side, so you can always chat to me. You can chat to Mark, who will be here for the whole time, and we can answer any questions and that kind of thing that you have. If I'm too loud or too quiet or whatever, just shout and we can sort it out. I'm on a slight kind of delay, so it sometimes takes me a bit of time to pick out what's going on, but it works pretty well. And you will soon, if you haven't already, be given access to the wonderful tutorial videos from the musicians from my orchestra, the Orchestra for the Earth. They've recorded special hour-long tutorials for you to watch, specifically on the first violin part, the second violin part, the viola part, etc. of each one of these pieces. So you've got kind of in detail tailored tuition just for you to help you get to know these pieces. And then on top of that, you've got a recording of piano plus your individual instrument, whichever one you want to choose to play along with, so you can hear your part really clearly against the piano, both for practicing and for recording. And one of the great things about the way we do this is that if you press the little cog on the bottom right hand corner of the YouTube video, you can actually slow it down. I mean, it kind of sounds a little in slow motion, but it is great for practicing if you want to practice it at 75% speed or even 50% speed or whatever. Or like I say, you can just practice a little bit or the whole thing as you wish. It's completely at your disposal to use these materials as you want to. It makes practicing at home a lot more fun, I think we'll find. And then we've got another of these sessions at the same time, 3 o'clock UK time on the 5th of April. So in about a month's time, and then on the 5th of May, so after that you've got a month to record your parts. So you basically got a month after this to watch the tutorials as many times as you like and kind of practice, and then you've got a month to submit your recordings. And then on the 29th of May we have a performance, a concert, where you can either watch and just sit back and enjoy the sound of your own playing, or you can play along, or you can do one and the other, because you'll be able to rewind it and play along as well. But it's a great moment, that, because you get to hear the sound of you plus everyone else who's been playing, and we've got a good number of people joining this course, which is great. There's something about the sound of a string orchestra, lots of string instruments together. It really transforms the string sound. It's especially in this kind of music where it's so lush and so warm and lovely. So hello to a couple more people. Hello Susanna, hello Jane. Great to see a bunch of you joining. So in about 5 or so minutes time we'll kind of kick off. What we're going to do today basically is just play through the pieces. I'm not going to kind of rehearse them in too much detail because we've not really seen them before. They're new to us, so we just want to get the kind of overall shape of them. I've got me at the piano, which we'll use a tiny bit, but mostly we're going to use recordings of our pro musicians from the Orchestra for the Earth who've recorded the individual parts, which I've then mixed together. So you've got a kind of 1-to-a-part recording. So it's not a full string orchestra, it's kind of a pared down version. So you can hear one player on each part. So we can play along with it and have a go at doing that. Mark says, can I repeat this all at 3 o'clock? Yes, I will do that. Very good idea. And hello to Rebecca as well, who has just joined. This is great. I wonder how many of you are in the choir, or how many of you are completely new to this, or how many of you just played in the Nimrod thing. I'd be interested to know. And I don't know if you've seen also on the website, we've got another course coming up after this one, or sort of slightly kind of dovetailed with this one, on some full orchestra repertoire like the Nimrod. Two absolutely fantastic pieces. The opening of Strauss's Also sprach Zarathustra, which you'll know from 2001 Space Odyssey. It's one of the many places that fantastic opening sunrise has been played. And the third movement of Rachmaninoff's Second Symphony, which is just one of the most beautiful slow movements that anyone ever wrote, with just so much gorgeous writing for every single member of the orchestra, a bit like this Lloyd Webber is for strings, really. So if you haven't seen that and you haven't signed up, do sign up, because that is going to be an absolute one not to miss. Great, we've got lots more people joining as well. That's fantastic. Hello Sue, and hello another Sue. Katie, Gillian, great, lots of you here. Really nice to see you all. Oh yeah, of course Gillian is in the choir as well. I mean, you know, if you're not in the choir, think about joining, because it's a really great way, if you don't think you're a singer or you're not a very confident singer, it's a really, really good way of getting into singing, because no one's listening. And I know that's one of the tricky things when you first start out singing, is you're just not sure what your voice sounds like, what people are going to think about it. Well, when you can just sing at home on your own, and it gives you an excuse to do it somewhere other than in the shower. So, I guess a quick word, I will repeat this at 1 o'clock, but a quick word about tuning. It's a bit tricky in this kind of format because we don't have someone to tune to. So you could often get an app on your phone that will just give you an A, or it's got a little piano. If you've got a piano, it'll probably be around the right tuning. Mine is just a tiny bit flat. But just tune to an A440A, and that will do the trick, really. Yeah, and you have, alongside the recording videos, you've got a little video of me conducting the thing with the backing track. So you're not just relying on having to listen or watch the score, you've actually got me just showing where the beats are, which should make life just that little bit easier. Susanna says, I'm an alto and in the choir. Yeah, I think I remember your name, Susanna. Yeah, Helen, A440 is the usual. It's sometimes different in the United States, but don't worry about it too much. The thing is, in the mix, it all kind of blends together quite nicely. Same with, you know, if you make a little slip when you're doing recording, it doesn't really matter that much, because one of the kind of magic things about music is that mistakes don't stick out as much as right notes when you're in an orchestra. So the effect is always to kind of smooth over any kind of natural human errors and that kind of thing, so it's really not a problem. Yeah, okay, Helen's got a harpsichord. Yeah, exactly. So 415, that's kind of what we call Baroque pitch. It's a bit of a complex area, actually, Baroque pitch, because really there's no such thing as one single Baroque pitch. Back in the 18th century, and in fact for some time afterwards and beforehand, it was pretty much the pitch of the organ in the town would be the pitch that you'd play at, which in some places would be quite high, even kind of like a third higher than what we would consider to be a normal pitch these days, sometimes much lower. It really varied, because you just had to play with the instrument or the harpsichord that was in the vicinity. A bit like towns had different times as well. Oxford time, I think, is 10 minutes out or something like that. Anyway, so we will tune to 440. That's what the recordings are at. And like I say, there are lots of very helpful little apps. Your piano at home, if you've got a piano, will probably be tuned to 440 as well. But like I say, it's not a huge kind of thing to worry about tuning. Okay, so what's the time? 2 minutes to. So 2 minutes. Looks like we've got a good number of people here. It must be nearly everybody. Some people will be watching it back. So to those of you who are not watching live and who are watching back, hello. You're always welcome to watch these back at a different time if the time that it's broadcast is not right for you. And if you have a question when you're not watching live, obviously you can't put it in the chat, so feel free to email Mark. And if it's a question for him or a question for me, then he'll pass on my answer to you. Always happy to answer questions. And Jane is here. She says she's Susanna's mum. Great. Well, we got the whole family here. That's excellent. I love wrestle getting my tongue around the German in Beethoven. Oh, great! You're singing in the Beethoven. Good. Well, there's no German to get your mouth round on this. Thankfully, it's all notes, no words. I think it's a really good choice, of course, this, because we've got 4 quite short pieces, quite contrasting, all a sort of slightly different mood, a different feel. So we can kind of explore different areas of our playing and that kind of thing, and just all with lovely parts for whichever instrument. You know, the tune is not always in the first violins, it's often in the seconds or the violas and the cellos, even in the basses. I wonder if we've got any harpists here today as well. I know there are a couple of harpists joining because there's a harp part in the invocation. And we've got a harp tutorial from our wonderful tutor, Katrin. So I'd be interested to know that. My sister's actually a harpist. So it's an instrument that I sort of grew up listening to quite a lot. Okay, so the time is 3 o'clock, so sort of officially welcome to everyone. It'd be lovely to chat to those of you who have been here early. You're always welcome to come up 10 minutes early if you want to. And I'll be here just kind of talking to myself, which is what I spend most of the day doing. Otherwise, I'm just not usually being broadcast on YouTube. So this is the first of 2 live sessions we're going to do. As part of a whole host of kind of materials that you've got to kind of get to know these pieces. The other one is going to be on the 5th of April in just under a month's time. So between now and then, feel free to watch the tutorial videos that Mark has sent round, which are with the musicians from the Orchestra for the Earth, who have recorded a special hour-long kind of lesson on how to play this music, little tips that they would say for how they think, how to play it, how to make playing it easier, how to practice it, that kind of thing, how to kind of shape the music. They're really, really good tutorials. So enjoy watching them. You can watch them as many times as you like. And I know that the tutors are very, very happy to answer questions specifically to them. So if you email Mark questions for the tutor, then they'll get an answer back to you. They've also sent round marked up parts with bowings and I think some fingerings and expressive markings just to help as well. So you've got those on top of that. I think also you're going to hear something from Julian Lloyd Webber, who is the composer's son, one of his 2 sons, the other one being Andrew Lloyd Webber, and Tamsin Little, who the 2 of them have recorded these pieces with a few other lovely bits of string music by William Lloyd Webber. There's an absolutely fantastic album. I think the album is called Invocation. So check that out, and you're really lucky to have a bit of time from them to hear kind of from the horse's mouth. Really, I have a feeling they even premiered these pieces. They certainly premiered some of his music. So there we go. You've got those things, and like I've said, you've got the kind of recording videos, which are a piano plus your instrument as the backing track, with me conducting as the kind of video. So for you to play along with, it's basically just like playing in a real orchestra, but you've got your part playing directly in your ear. So it's like what we call a side by side when you're playing next to a pro. It's like you're sharing a desk with them, really. And then, like I say, after you've had some time to look at those tutorials, we'll meet again on the 5th of April to have another rehearsal, and then you've got a month until the 5th of May to record your parts, for which you'll need. Some of you will be very familiar with this already, but for those of you who aren't, I think there's a very, very useful resource on the Self-Isolation Choir and Orchestra website about how to record. But basically, you play the master track on headphones and record yourself with another device, so that I get a recording of you that's playing exactly in time with the master track, more or less. and then we can mix it all together and it turns into a full orchestra like magic. So let's sort of start off with Invocation, which is this gorgeous kind of melancholy, kind of spiritual sounding piece, which has a wonderful feature for the harp. It's in E minor, which is actually the same key as the beginning of the serenade. So what we're going to do, I think we'll just start by playing it through. I've got this backing track, which is the tutors playing all the parts. So just make sure you're sitting comfortably. You're welcome to stand up or sit down, whichever suits you. There we go. Mark says, yeah, you've got a video on how to make the recordings. Perfect. So make sure you're comfortable. You know, if you want to take a break at any point, you can always pause me. Or if I'm getting a bit boring, then you can always fast forward. You do what you like. I think many times in normal rehearsals where we wish we could fast forward through what the conductor's saying. And I say that as a conductor. So, Invocation. Here it is. 1, 2. So you'll hear, I should say, at the beginning of the recording tracks, when you're recording, you'll hear me 1, 2, 3. Go 1, 2, 3, clap. And make sure you start recording and then clap with me. Because it's like the clapperboard at the beginning of a film, where it helps me line everything up. So get your instruments ready, have your music ready, and let's just give it a go. It's in a kind of slow 4, which I'll conduct. And here we go. One, 2, 3, 4. Well, there we go. That's number 1, Invocation, well done. Isn't it just the most wonderful piece? It's just so lush and so rich, and just has such a clear kind of shape to it. You know, it sort of starts softly, builds up to this kind of impassioned climax, and then just kind of melts away at the end into a kind of magical E major. Beautiful. Well, like I say, that is, I mean, it sort of doesn't sound particularly thin, but that's just one player on each part. I mean, they're playing with lots of kind of guts, so it sounds gorgeous. But with you guys, you will kind of thicken out and enrichen that whole texture, so it sounds like a full string orchestra. So I hope that's fun playing along. So what I'm going to do is just point out a couple of things in each piece that I think it's worth kind of focusing on, and then we'll just play it again. So in this piece, really, it's made of hairpins, sort of crescendos and decrescendos. Every phrase really goes up then down, like this. Back down again. So really up and then down. Every phrase does it, and kind of basically more and more. You know, we start quite kind of tired and mournful, and then it gets more and more impassioned and does the same thing but more intensely. So really go for those double hairpins, really enjoy them. The motor of this piece is double basses. It's that kind of pulsing at the bass, like a throbbing, at the same time as the harp going. And on top of that, we have this tune. So that's kind of how the piece is together. So always have an ear on that bass pulse at the bottom. Another thing just to watch out for is, I think we must all have bar numbers, in bar 14, where it says marcato. There, I think we should just hold the tempo back a little bit. So just going from the bar before, it sounds a bit like this. Sorry. So just hold the tempo back, just a few more right notes. And then we go off, moving again in bar 17. But for those in the violins, really sort of mark those out quite firmly, and then a tempo in bar 17. And then it kind of shifts. So going into the più mosso in bar 19, faster. So really just kind of give it a bit of a kick up a gear at that moment. We get the same thing with a kind of holding back the tempo when it comes back at 31. Same music pretty much, bar 31. And that time it goes through the first violins in bar 31. Second violins, and then violas, down to that amazing C minor chord in bar 33, and then in bar 33 the second violins, you take up that tune, and then the first violins, you take the tune from them. And allargando means really spacious, so really give it some space there at bar 31, and in bar 33 it'd be great to hear those second violins, really rich on the G string. And then going into bar 35, take a breath, and then spacious double hairpin. Same thing down the octave in bar 37. And here again, second violins and first cellos. You've got that gorgeous line. So nice to bring out those inner parts. And the last thing I'd say is in the penultimate bar, where we're on this lovely E major chord, trajectory of this piece is from kind of gloom in E minor to kind of resolution in E major, because we've literally invoked something. I think that's the idea. And you'll hear in the harp in semiquavers a slow penultimate bar, and we need to play the crescendo towards the third beat. So we're on this chord and we go 1, 2, crescendo up to here, and then diminuendo to there. And I'll show it. I'll show a big kind of growing and then shrinking. So, things to watch out for. Let's give it a go. Once more. Invocation. From the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. Crescendo. Another one. Great stuff. Really, really well done. So I hope you kind of caught those couple of points which I mentioned about kind of tempo and dynamics there. But you've got plenty more time to kind of work it through. Yeah, Helen, very good point. Is there enough time between the clap and the start? I've left a little more time than there are in these clips, in the actual recording videos. But you know, feel free to kind of have your bow ready and just kind of clap on the back of your hand or something like that, or just click, something like that. Any just kind of loud, clean noise will do the trick, but I've tried to leave enough time. Okie dokie. I think that's enough on invocation. Let's move on to Serenade for Strings. Interesting piece, this. Not all written in one go. Invocation was written in 1957, same year as West Side Story. Whereas this piece was written kind of all over the place. The Barcarolle was written in 1951. The second movement was written in 1980, 30 years later. And then the third movement was actually written between the two in 1960. So kind of all over the place, and then put together in what feels like a kind of incredibly unified piece somehow, despite literally decades separating the whole thing. So there we go. Barcarolle is, I'm sure some of you know, comes from the Italian word barca, which means boat. It's a Venetian folk song, basically sung by the gondoliers. If you've ever been to Venice, they don't really do it anymore, sadly, but certainly it was the case that the gondoliers would sing as they punted themselves along around the canals. And so that's why it's got this rocking, like the gentle sort of waves on the Venetian canals. Very evocative. And just a slight kind of mournful, but not completely. So a ninth chord, that gorgeous second chord, added ninth, and then a major seventh chord, minor seventh, sorry. Lovely harmony. Okay, let's give this one a go then. This one's in a kind of slow 2, so I'll go 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and like that. Okay. Okay, ready?
2, 3.
That's the count. 1, 2, 3, 2. Great job. Well done. Isn't that another absolutely lovely one? I just love it. Again, starting quite mournfully and then by the end ending up just a kind of glimpse of heaven, perhaps. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, a couple of things to look out for here. I love the way, the beginning, violas, first violas, you kind of have this opening. It kind of is a tune, dolcissimo, as sweet as possible, is the kind of idea. And a note about divisi: choose whichever divisi you want. When you come to record it, you can record both if you like, so you can, you know, play along as and when on either part. Just you choose. And here, the first violas, you can play out to begin with, and then you kind of recede into the texture, triple P. Because at the top you get the first violin solo. Feel free to play along with that solo as well, really up to you. As long as you kind of drop out of the solo just before the tutti entry in bar 10, because you want to play with the tutti for that moment in the first violins. Nice moment in the second violins to bring out is in bar 8. If I just go from bar 7, and then the second violins go, just sing out a little for that moment. It's really beautiful. See, you're the only ones without a diminuendo written, because it just wants to bring it out. Tempo wise, just watch bar 11. So I'll really spend lots of time over those two bars, 11 and 12. So in the second violins, you're going. So just keep some time in those, and the melody in the first violins. Just keep the space. It'll be lovely. Cellos, bar 13. Really, you can spread these. Spread those double and triple stops, and they sound absolutely lovely. And in the middle of that, in bar 14, the violas, you get this lovely little moment. And feel free to bring that out. Really sing out those quavers. They're a really lovely little bit of counterpoint. And violas, the same thing kind of happens in bar 21, 22, where you go. So bring out that as well. And then when we come to bar 25, we've had violins, we've had violas, it's the cello's turn, and you get the tune. So really, you know, sing that out really soulfully. It's such a wonderful moment. And then the violins join in the fun, because who could resist it, really? And then towards the end, it's just a gradual rallentando. Sometimes when it gets slower in this movement, I'll show it in 6 in crotchets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So like the very end, the last 4 bars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like that. So very slow in crotchets at the end. Okay, great. So another couple of pointers. I just want to give you the general shape of these pieces in this, and just have a bit of fun playing them through. So let's play through this one again. From the top, barcarolle. Really gentle. Really feel that sense of rocking. One, two, three, two. second violins. Violas. Cellos. Violas. Lean into it. Okay, slowly in crotchets. Beautiful. Well done. And many of these pieces that they end in this kind of ethereal manner, so hold on to the sound and then just gently taper it off at the end of the last chord so it just kind of evaporates into midair, but keep it warm on the vibrato for sure. Lovely. Well done. Absolutely gorgeous. Okay, well, let's have a look at the Romance, second movement. Like I say, written much later than the rest of it, written in the 1980s. And a beautifully written piece. This one, just watch out again for the divisi. The violins were both in 3 parts in some places. So the second violins, for example, you've got 2 of you up there pulsating these chords at the beginning, and then the third player plays the theme. And the violas are in 2 parts as well, and the cellos are in 2 parts as well. So pick your divisi line. It really doesn't matter which one you do, and you're welcome to play one, then the other, and just play around. That's one of the joys about this, is that you can just choose to do what you like. So this one is in another slow 4, adagio molto espressivo ma semplice. So really expressive, but fundamentally quite simple in that expression. And adagio, which means at ease. Okay. Just give it a play through. One and 2 and 3 and 4 and Great, well done again. Isn't that just another gorgeous one? It's just one treat after another, this course. Such a great collection of beautiful, beautiful music. So there we go. Romance doesn't really need explaining that title in context of the music that's written. Really serene, lush, heartfelt. So, a few things to watch out for. A few things to think about. At the very beginning, like I say, we've got first violins. You're just triple P, just holding this third. While the second violins, the top two parts, you kind of pulse within that sound. But the theme is in the second violin's lower divisi. So feel free to play up a little bit in the third part. And then cellos, little pizzicato. And then second violins recede a little bit because then the real tune, so to speak, emerges in the violas. So violas, your dolce espressivo, sweet and expressive, and mezzo forte, so really quite kind of, as though you were speaking it in quite a resonant voice. It's in that gorgeous middle register. So really sing that melody out. It's like a song, this movement. And then what happens in bar 8 is that the first violins, you then finally, in the top divisi, you join that divisi. So the violas are 2 octaves below you, an octave below you. So sing that out as well, nice and strong. And I love this cello part in bar 9 and bar 10. And then sort of smiling harmonic change. Major chord 4, always a lovely chord. And then every time we get this figure at bar 11, which we get 3 times, just take a little bit of time. This lovely cadence. Just some space there. Really enjoy that cello part. Take your time, indulge in it. It's really lovely. And then we get a più animato in bar 20. So it just kind of moves on a little bit. So just gently kind of just flowing, you're not really pushing it too much, but let the music naturally flow forwards at that moment. And then we get to this big climax just before bar 29, which is in a box for me, where the violins go right up. That top B flat, which really can kind of ping with the violins also on E flat and an E natural in the first. Kind of power chord. So lots and lots of space on that fortissimo. We need it to really get that chord. And then the big tune comes back at 29. So very ending also nice and slow. Bar 36 to the end, just kind of hold it back. slow, and then the violas on the 4th beat, and then cellos and basses join for this warm D major at the very end. So it's a very kind of slow-paced, meditative piece, really, this one. Let's try it again. Romance from the top. So really it's a matter of who's got the tune and when in this one. And when you've got the tune, give it the beans. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... cellos. Okay, second violins back into the background. Violas, go for it. Lots of warm vibrato. Okay, first violins. Cellos. Take your time. Great. Absolutely lovely. So you see just those little moments of kind of space and moving forwards really kind of give it the kind of ebb and flow that it needs. It's all about tension and release, this music, really. Okay, so that takes us on to our third movement of the serenade, our fourth piece, so to speak, which is an elegy. So, yeah, you know, a kind of memorial to somebody or something, which I think it evokes absolutely beautifully. And it's such a great way to end the whole thing, just because it has this glorious andante, so not too slow, but kind of with a real kind of surety. It's a sostenuto, so kind of drawn, legato, smooth, sustained. Let's give it a go again. This one also in D major, and it's in a kind of six, really, 6 crotchets in a bar. That kind of thing. So it's very stately. Another gorgeous one. So let's give it a go. We'll play it through. We'll talk about it a little bit. We'll play it through once more, and then we're done. Just having a little bit trouble getting hold of the recording. Give me 1 second. Computer not entirely convinced it wants to play ball. And nor is the internet. Okay. Okay, final attempt. If not, I've got a backup plan. No. Okay. For some reason, my file is not wanting to open. So what we'll do, we'll play it along with the sort of official recording. In fact, that might be even better. So let me just get that up. Something about technology, it always knows when you want something from it, and that's when it chooses not to work. Okay, here we go. So we'll play along. We'll play along with this glorious recording by Richard Hickox, which you may well have listened to already. So, Elegy, number 3. Might be a little tricky to get the start of this because you won't hear me counting in, but we'll figure it out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, there we go. Special treat to play along with the City of London Sinfonia. Like I say, sorry about trying to catch the beginning. It's a bit tricky when we don't have a count in. Well done. So it's a really kind of ultimately quite triumphant one to finish off on that, which is really nice. The whole thing is paced beautifully. Starts slowly but surely and reaches this really affirmative climax at the end. Lovely piece. So, a couple of things to kind of think about with it. This one, the melody at the beginning is in the first violas, the top violas, and the first violins at the same time. So really, play out beautifully there. First violas, once we get to the kind of fifth bar, you become a kind of counter melody, so maybe not quite so strong in comparison. They sort of in counterpoint with the first violins at the top there. And the first violins get joined by the second violins bit by bit. Bar 11, cello's your moment, just on your own. You get that little rising figure, which then gets taken up by the violas and the second violins. So really, again, just bring that out in bar 11 cellos. It'd be absolutely lovely. And then it just slightly gets moving in bar 13. I know it says poco animato 2 bars later in bar 15, but let's just kind of warm ourselves up for the poco animato by just gently kind of thinking kind of forwards thoughts in bar 13. It's a bit ambiguous in the notation for the violas in bar 18. You've got that E, which is a minim tied to a crotchet. I think the idea is you re-articulate the tied crotchet. So going from the bar before, and then re-articulate. So it's a slur rather than a tie on that E in the violas. It's bar 18. Second violins, you get your moment in the spotlight in bar 25. So the first violins are on the top going, and you underneath go. Lovely bit of counterpoint, so together. So really bring that out in bar 25. It's a gorgeous moment. And then double basses, your moment in the spotlight, is just before the end, the last 4 bars. I'll just play the last 6 bars, and basses you'll hear where you come in. And then basses. So we can have loads of that. Cellos and basses, great moment in the last bar. So really, yum, bomb, really place that. And everybody in the last bar, it's impossible to do it on a piano, but we do a kind of what we call a heavy off. 1, 2, 3, 4. Kind of off on an up bow, kind of into the air. Let's throw the sound up into the top of the room for that last one, and keep the vibrato going into the rest so it really resonates beautifully. Okay, so well, that leaves us just enough time to play Elegy once more through, and then we've done everything top to tail twice. A couple of things to kind of watch out for. So here we go, once more from top of the Elegy. I'll try and catch the beginning of it, but I'll count out the first bar just so we know where we are. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Double hairpin. Isn't that reverb at the end of that recording? Well, really, really well done. I hope that's fun. Don't worry if it doesn't all yet make sense. You haven't quite got a hang of all the notes, haven't quite got a hang of all the dynamics yet. It will come. You've got a month, and you've got these wonderful tutorials from my colleagues, Orchestra for the Earth, and you've got videos from Tamsin and from Julian Lloyd Webber, which I'm sure will be an absolute treat. So you've got so many kind of great perspectives to get under the skin of this music. Which is just so lush. Perfect stuff, really, just kind of to play at home and just enjoy yourself with. So do just that. I will see you in just under a month's time on the 5th of April. Same time, same place, so to speak. Have a great time. And if you have any questions in the meantime, questions for me, question for the tutors, questions for Mark, just email Mark and we'll get back to you very, very promptly. And like I say, check out the Rachmaninoff and Strauss course as well, because if you enjoy this music, really, it's in a very similar vein of kind of just gorgeous, lush stuff that's not massively taxing to play, but massively rewarding to play. So enjoy yourselves, and those of you in the choir, I'll see you at a Beethoven or a Mahler rehearsal very soon. Thank you very much, and have a lovely week.